The shy waitress greeted the billionaire's deaf mother, but what she said in sign language left the entire room stunned. The crystal chandelier scattered shimmering shadows over the marble floors of Leonard. Anna Martinez tugged at her black uniform for the third time that evening, her hands trembling, not from fear of serving Manhattan's elite, but from the constant burden of hiding who she truly was. At 24, she had mastered the art of being invisible, drifting through the restaurant like a ghost with a polite smile. "Table 12 needs their wine topped up, Sarah," the head waitress called without looking up from her order pad. "And for heaven's sake, try not to spill anything on Mr. Blackwood. He's already complained twice about the air temperature." Anna nodded and reached for the bottle of Chateau Margaux, worth more than her monthly wages. Marcus Blackwood. Even his name carried the weight of power, old wealth, new wealth, the kind that made people lower their eyes in submission. She had been serving his table for 3 months, yet he'd never once looked at her as more than background furniture. The dining room buzzed with soft chatter, filled with people who never worried about rent, hospital bills, or whether they could afford school supplies for their children. Anna knew that life all too well. She had once lived it, though it now felt like another lifetime. "Excuse me, miss." The voice was sharp, commanding, threaded with a touch of impatience that snapped Anna to attention. She turned to find Marcus Blackwood standing closer than she'd expected. His steely gray eyes locked onto hers with a focus that made her stomach twist in ways it shouldn't. He was tall. She had to tilt her head to meet his gaze. His dark hair looked like it had been styled by someone who charged more per hour than Anna made in a week. His suit was flawless, tailored, probably Italian, and certainly expensive. "Your wine, sir," Anna murmured, lifting the bottle. "Not for me." Marcus gestured toward the elegant woman seated behind him. "My mother. She's been trying to get your attention for 10 minutes. Anna's eyes shifted to Mrs. Blackwood, and her chest tightened. The woman, in her early 60s, wore her silver hair in a neat chignon, her kind eyes glowing with warmth and untold stories. She was making small hand gestures, her face lit with a hopeful smile. Anna set the wine bottle aside and walked toward her. "Good evening," she signed gracefully. "How may I help you?" Delight spread across Mrs. Blackwood's face as her hands moved quickly. "Oh, how wonderful." "I wanted to compliment the chef on the salmon. It reminds me of a dish I had in Paris years ago." "I'll be sure to tell him," Anna signed back, smiling for the first time that evening. "Would you like me to ask about the preparation?" "I believe he uses a special herb blend." She hardly noticed the dining room growing quieter, the subtle shift as people realized what they were seeing. Mrs. Blackwood responded animatedly, her eyes sparkling as she spoke about her travels through France and how rare it was for anyone to truly communicate with her. "You're very kind," the older woman signed. "Most people just nod when they realize I'm deaf. You sign beautifully. Where did you learn?" "I studied linguistics in college," Anna answered without thinking, then froze, realizing what she'd revealed. "Linguistics?" Marcus's voice sliced into the moment like a blade. His expression was unreadable, but the intensity made Anna's pulse race. "What university?" Panic surged in her chest. She'd been so careful for so long, yet a single moment of connection threatened to unravel everything. It was just a few classes, sir. Nothing important." "Nothing important?" Marcus stepped closer, his tone softening into something far more dangerous than anger. "You're fluent in sign language?" "You studied linguistics. I doubt that's the only language you know. What else are you hiding?" The question hung between them like smoke. Anna could feel the eyes of other diners. She sensed Sarah hovering nearby, anxious, probably calculating how much trouble this scene would cause. "I should get back to work," Anna whispered, reaching for the wine. "Wait!" Marcus caught her wrist, not harshly but firmly enough to stop her. The touch sent a jolt through her body, and from the flicker in his eyes, she knew he felt it too. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "That was unnecessarily harsh." Anna glanced down at his hand. His perfect nails, his expensive watch, the absence of scars or calluses that marked real labor. When she looked up, his expression had shifted into something dangerously close to vulnerable. "Your mother is lovely," she said softly. "She told me about her trip to Paris. She likes you." Marcus released her wrist but didn't move away. She doesn't like many people. Most don't take the time to listen. Maybe that's because you're used to people telling you what you want to hear. His eyebrows lifted, and to Anna's surprise, a faint smile curved his lips. And you think I don't listen? I think you're surrounded by people who don't dare tell you the truth. This time, his smile reached his eyes. You're probably right, but you still haven't answered my question about the university. Anna hesitated. The truth could destroy everything, but Mrs. Blackwood was watching their exchange, her knowing smile making it clear she already understood. Columbia, Anna finally admitted, the word heavy as a confession. I studied at Columbia. Marcus's expression shifted through surprise, curiosity, and something dangerously close to respect. Columbia has an excellent linguistics program. Why walk away from it? The question hit her like a blow. How could she explain that she hadn't chosen this life, that someone she once trusted had stolen her career, her reputation, her future? That being a waitress wasn't a choice, but the only path left open to her? Sometimes life doesn't go according to plan, she said evenly. No, Marcus murmured, eyes still fixed on hers. I suppose it doesn't, Mrs. Blackwood interrupted with a mischievous smile. You two should talk more. My son works too much and doesn't meet enough interesting people. What did she say? Marcus asked, suspicion lacing his tone. Anna's cheeks flushed. She said you work very hard. That's not all she said. Marcus's voice dropped. She mentioned something else, didn't she? She said you should eat more vegetables, Anna deflected. Marcus laughed, a rich, unexpected sound that made nearby diners turn. My mother did not mention vegetables. Judging by your blush, she said something far more dangerous. Anna opened her mouth to deny it, then stopped. Marcus was sharper than she'd realized. She thinks you should meet more interesting people, Anna admitted. Does she? He glanced at his mother, who feigned innocence. And what do you think? Am I meeting interesting people? Standing so close, Anna could smell his cologne. Luxurious, subtle, costing more than her monthly rent. She saw the faint lines at his eyes that hinted he smiled more than his reputation suggested. I think, Anna said carefully, that most people want something from you. And I don't. Marcus studied her, his expression unreadable but tinged with something almost vulnerable. I want you to let me keep asking questions. Anna Martinez, something tells me your answers might surprise me. Her chest tightened. For 3 months, she had been invisible. Now Marcus Blackwood was looking at her like a puzzle he fully intended to solve. I should really get back to work, she whispered, more plea than excuse. Of course. He stepped back, almost courtly, but his gray eyes never left hers. But Anna, I'll see you next week. It wasn't a request. It was a promise that sent her pulse racing with both dread and anticipation. As she moved across the dining room, she could feel his gaze on her. Mrs. Blackwood caught her eye and signed quickly. He likes you. Anna stumbled, her face burning. The rest of the evening blurred into routine, wine refills, dishes served, but her awareness of table 12 never faded. Every glance revealed Marcus watching her, his eyes unreadable, calculating. When they finally rose to leave, he paused at her station. Have a good evening, Anna, he said softly, then leaned closer. And next time, maybe you'll tell me about Paris. I have a feeling your story is far more intriguing than you admit. Her blood ran cold. She had never mentioned Paris. Mrs. Blackwood had. Somehow Marcus was connecting dots she had tried desperately to keep buried. As she watched him escort his mother toward the door, Anna knew her anonymity was gone. Marcus Blackwood wasn't merely curious. He was investigating her. At the end of her shift, Anna's hands trembled as she counted her tips. His final word echoed like a warning bell. Paris. How had he known? She had worked so hard to bury that past, to erase the woman who once negotiated multi-million-dollar deals in Parisian boardrooms overlooking the Seine. You okay, girl? Sarah's voice broke her spiral. She stood nearby, her lined face softened with concern. You look like you've seen a ghost. I'm fine, Anna lied, shoving the bills into her purse. Just tired. That Blackwood guy rattled you, Sarah pressed. What was all that hand-waving about? Anna forced a smile. His mother is deaf. I was just taking her compliments to the chef. Since when do you know sign language? Sarah's question sounded casual, but Anna caught the curiosity hiding underneath. She had worked so hard to blend into the background, to remain unremarkable. Yet one encounter with Marcus had shattered months of carefully built invisibility. I picked up a few things in college, Anna replied, hoping her tone sounded lighter than she felt. Nothing fancy. Sarah's look said she didn't entirely buy it, but she dropped the subject. Well, whatever you did, you made an impression. He left a $200 tip. Anna froze. What? $200 for a half-hour dinner. Sarah's eyes gleamed with equal parts envy and suspicion. Rich men don't throw tips like that unless they're planning to come back for more than just the salmon. The implication in her tone made Anna's skin prickle. It's not like that, Anna muttered. Honey, Sarah sighed knowingly. I've worked in restaurants for 20 years. It's always like that with men like him. Just be careful. Guys with that kind of money don't play by the same rules as the rest of us. Anna nodded, but Sarah's warning felt like shutting the barn door after the horses were already gone. Marcus Blackwood wasn't chasing her in the way Sarah thought. His interest wasn't desire, it was far more dangerous. He wanted her secrets. The subway ride back to Queens felt endless. Every shadow seemed heavier, every glance around her sharper. For 2 years she had lived like this, always looking over her shoulder, waiting for David Chen to finish what he'd started. Her ex-fiancé had dismantled her life piece by piece, first her reputation, then her career, finally her finances. Only her ability to vanish had kept her alive. But if Marcus began digging into her past, how long before David realized she wasn't as ruined as he believed? How long before he decided to finish the job? Her phone buzzed as she climbed the creaking stairs to her walk-up. Unknown number. Hope you don't mind? I got your number from the restaurant's HR department. This is Marcus Blackwood. Thank you for being so kind to my mother tonight. She hasn't stopped talking about you. Mana's heart slammed against her ribs. HR department, of course. Men like Marcus didn't ask permission. They took what they wanted. The invasion of her privacy should have made her furious, but instead, it filled her with a bone-deep terror. She typed out a polite reply, then deleted it. Tried again, deleted again. At last, she shut the phone off without answering. Her tiny studio was exactly what anyone expected of a waitress in Queens. Sparse, second-hand furniture, clearance store dishes. But hidden beneath her mattress was a lockbox containing her real identity, a Columbia MBA, a CPA license, and documents proving she held the patents David had stolen when he destroyed her. She pulled out her battered old laptop, the one relic from her previous life she'd managed to keep hidden from creditors. Her fingers hovered before finally typing the name she had avoided for 2 years. David Chen Pinnacle Financial. The results made her stomach twist. David's company had exploded in size since her exile, thriving off the foundation of her stolen work. But the latest headline drained the blood from her face. Pinnacle Financial announces merger with Blackwood Industries. Marcus Blackwood. David Chen. Partners. Anna's hand flew to her mouth, muffling a scream. It couldn't be coincidence. David was cruel, calculating, but never careless. If he was working with Marcus, it meant one thing. There was a reason. Had David already discovered where she was hiding? Was Marcus's sudden interest in her part of a trap designed to finish what David started? Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Marcus. I know you're probably tired, but I can't stop thinking about our conversation. Dinner tomorrow? Somewhere we can actually talk. Mana stared at the glowing screen until the words blurred. Every instinct screamed, run! Disappear before David's web ensnared her completely, but running required money she didn't have. And she was tired. Tired of being afraid. Tired of living like a ghost. Tired of being invisible. Against all reason, she typed, I work tomorrow night, but I'm free for lunch. The reply was instant, perfect. I'll pick you up at noon. Wear something comfortable. I have a feeling we'll be doing a lot of talking. Anna set the phone aside and pressed her hands over her face. She was either about to make the biggest mistake of her life or finally take the first step toward reclaiming it. The next morning, her phone buzzed again. Change of plans. Meet me at Columbia University, the steps of Low Library. I want to see where you studied. Anna's blood turned to ice. Columbia. He was already digging into her past, already connecting dots she'd buried deep. The casual mention of her alma mater felt like a trap tightening around her throat. But what choice did she have? If she ran, it would only confirm his suspicions. And she was done with running. She dressed in the only piece left from her old life, a simple black dress that had once cost more than 2 months of her current wages. Wearing it felt like stepping into a forgotten role from a play she no longer remembered. The campus teemed with students, their faces alive with the optimism she had once carried. She spotted Marcus waiting on the library steps, 2 coffee cups in hand, his posture humming with restrained curiosity. He looked different in daylight, almost younger, less intimidating. The sun caught his dark hair, and instead of a tailored suit, he wore dark jeans and a cashmere sweater that still screamed wealth but looked effortlessly casual. "You found me," he said, rising to hand her a cup. "I wasn't sure you'd come." "I almost didn't," Anna admitted, accepting the coffee. The rich aroma hit her immediately. This wasn't diner brew, but coffee from the expensive cafe near campus. "But you did. Why?" His tone was light, but his gray eyes burned with intensity. "Because I'm tired of running," she thought, and to her own surprise, said it aloud. Marcus's expression softened into something almost gentle. "Are you running from something specific? Or just running in general? What makes you think I'm running at all?" He leaned forward. "Anna, you're 24 with a Columbia education, fluent in multiple languages, and working as a waitress in Manhattan. You know fine wine, and yesterday you corrected my French pronunciation under your breath. Either you're running from something, or you're rehearsing for the role of a lifetime." Anna nearly choked on her coffee. "You heard that?" "I hear everything." "Occupational hazard of business. You learn to notice details others miss." He sat back on the steps, gesturing for her to join him. "So what's the story? Bad breakup? Family scandal? Student loans the size of a small nation's debt?" His tone was joking, but the sharp gleam in his eyes told her he was giving her a chance. A chance to spin a version of the truth before he uncovered it himself. "All of the above," Anna finally said, lowering herself onto the step, but keeping a careful distance. "Plus some creative financial planning by someone I trusted. Someone stole from you." His words weren't a question. They were fact. Something in Anna's chest loosened. There was no judgment in his voice, no pity, just acknowledgement. "Someone stole everything," she said quietly. "My work, my reputation, my future. I'm not just running from debt, Marcus. I'm running from the man who destroyed my life and made sure everyone believed I deserved it." Marcus went still, his fingers tight around the coffee cup. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then, "David Chen," he said softly. The name hit like a gunshot. Anna's fingers went limp, spilling coffee across the stone steps. How do you know that name?" she stammered. "Because I know David Chen very well," Marcus replied, his voice low, unreadable. "And if he's the one who did this to you, then we have a problem." Anna's world tilted violently. Without thinking, she grabbed his arm, nails biting into the cashmere sleeve. "You know him? How do you know him?" Marcus looked down at her hand gripping him, then back into her face. His gray eyes were unreadable, but his words were clear. "Anna, David Chen is my business partner, and we're about to close the biggest deal of both our careers." The words struck Anna like a series of physical blows. Of course David would worm his way back into her life the moment she dared to feel safe. Of course he'd use Marcus, someone she was beginning to trust, as his weapon. "This is a setup," Anna whispered, pulling her hand away and starting to rise. "The restaurant, your mother, your sudden curiosity, it was all him. He sent you." "No." Marcus's grip closed around her wrist, steady but not harsh. "Anna, I swear, David has no idea I'm here. I don't know what he did to you, but this is about you and me, not him." "I don't believe you." Then let me prove it. Marcus pulled out his phone and scrolled. I'll call him, right now. I'll tell him I met someone from Colombia, someone who knows him. Watch his reaction. Anna wanted to bolt, but the intensity in Marcus's expression rooted her in place. He pressed call and put the phone on speaker. Marcus! David's voice came smooth, charming, just as Anna remembered. Perfect timing. I was reviewing the merger documents. Everything looks... David, quick question. Marcus cut him off. I met someone yesterday who said she knows you from business school. Anna Martinez. Linguistics background, worked in finance a bit. The silence that followed was suffocating. Anna could almost feel David's shock radiating through the line. Anna Martinez? David finally said, his tone flat. Doesn't ring a bell, should it? The lie slid out so effortlessly that Anna's stomach twisted. 2 years of her life erased. 2 years of trust, of love, of shared dreams, dismissed without even a pause. Maybe I misunderstood, Marcus said evenly, his gaze locked on Anna. She seemed sure she knew you. Claimed you worked together on financial projects. You know how it is, David replied smoothly. Business school creates lots of casual connections. Maybe we sat in a study group, but honestly, I don't place her. Anna gave a sound that was half laugh, half sob. A study group. 3 years of partnership, 2 years of engagement, and he reduced it to nothing. Right, Marcus said dryly. Well, let me know if you remember. I'll talk to you later about Steinberg. Of course. And Marcus, be careful. People often pretend old connections to get close to men like us. The line went dead. Silence hung between Anna and Marcus. Fake connections? Anna repeated hollowly. That's what our engagement was, apparently. A fake connection. Marcus stared at his phone, expression hardening. You were engaged to David Chen for 2 years, and business partners for 3 before that, Anna said, her voice sounding foreign in her ears. We built Pinnacle Financial together. Every algorithm, every client strategy, every breakthrough, that was me. And he stole it all. Marcus's jaw tightened. He didn't just steal, he framed you. Yes. Her laugh was sharp, bitter. He made sure I looked like the thief. Doctored records, falsified documents, convinced clients I was embezzling. Then he filed charges and froze my accounts. By the time I realized, he'd already destroyed me. The charges didn't stick, or you'd be in prison. They didn't stick because he dropped them. Claimed he didn't want to ruin my life. Played the merciful man while everyone believed his story. Who drops theft charges unless they're certain the person is guilty but wants to look generous? That's... Marcus's voice dropped, eyes flashing. That's diabolical. That's David. And now, Anna said bitterly, he's your partner. So tell me, Marcus, what are you going to do? He studied her, unreadable, then rose and held out his hand. I'm going to find the truth. And then I'm going to make sure David Chen pays. The words should have sparked hope, but all Anna felt was exhaustion. Men like David never paid. They thrived. And men like Marcus? They always chose profit over justice. Yet something in... His expression made her chest ache with an emotion she thought David had destroyed forever. Hope. Against her better judgment, Anna took his hand. Why? She whispered. Why risk a deal for someone you barely know? Marcus's gaze searched her face. Because I've lived surrounded by people who want something from me. And yesterday, for the first time in years, I met someone who didn't. You were simply kind to my mother. No agenda, no motive. His thumb brushed across her knuckles, sending heat racing up her arm. And because David just lied to my face about knowing you, which means your story is real, and his is a lie. Tears burned Anna's eyes. When had anyone believed her without proof? What if you're wrong? She asked. What if I'm the liar? Marcus smiled, and it softened him in a way that unsettled her. Then I'm making a very expensive mistake. But I don't think I am. He started walking, still holding her hand, and she followed despite herself. Where are we going? To my office. I need to show you something. Marcus, I can't. People will see. Your reputation? Anna. He stopped and faced her fully. I don't care about my reputation. I care about the truth. And the truth about David Chen is going to be very interesting. As they crossed campus, Anna caught their reflection in glass windows. The billionaire and the waitress, bound by a web of secrets. For the first time in 2 years, she felt like more than a victim. Maybe, just maybe, she was someone worth fighting for. Marcus's office was a fortress of glass and steel, the entire top floor of a midtown tower with a view that stretched across Manhattan. Everything screamed wealth and control, from the assistants in designer suits to the carefully curated art. Mr. Blackwood. His assistant rose as they approached. Her polished smile faltered slightly at the sight of Anna. You weren't scheduled today. Change of plans, Jennifer. Hold my calls. And confidentiality, please. Of course, sir. Anna felt Jennifer's curious gaze burning into her back as Marcus guided her inside. The office was dark wood, leather, understated power. Drink? Marcus asked, moving toward a bar lined with bottles worth more than Anna's rent. I'm fine. She stayed near the door, restless. Why am I here, Marcus? Even if everything I told you is true, David is still your partner. You can't just... Can't what? Hold him accountable? Marcus poured scotch. If David destroyed your life for profit, then he's exactly the partner I don't want. But the money, there's always another deal. He sat and gestured for her to join him. There isn't always another chance to do the right thing. Hesitantly, Anna sat across from him, tense. You say that now, but when you see the numbers, when the board pressures you, my board works for me, not the other way around. And numbers built on fraud mean nothing. He leaned forward, gray eyes sharp. Tell me about the patents. Pinnacle filed 17 in 2 years. All tied to algorithms and risk modeling. How many of those were yours? Anna froze. How did you... I've been reviewing Pinnacle's assets, and the dates didn't add up. 17 filings in 6 months, all credited to David's team. But his background? Nothing shows he could design that technology. So tell me, Anna, how much did he steal? She felt the room tilt. You investigated him? I investigate all partners. But what I couldn't find was you. No mention, no records. If you were there for 3 years, why nothing? Because he erased me. Her voice broke. After he accused me, after he made me look like a thief, he rewrote everything. My name stripped from agreements, patents amended, as if I never existed. Marcus's face hardened. That's not just unethical, that's criminal. Good luck proving it. He has endless lawyers. So do I. Marcus reached for his phone. Jennifer, get me Charles Morrison. Yes, today. It's urgent. Marcus, no! Anna shot to her feet. This will ruin your deal. Good. His voice was flat. If it's built on theft, it should be ruined. You don't understand what you're risking. No, Anna, you don't understand what I'm worth. I could lose 10 deals like this and never run out of money. But I can't afford to lose my integrity. Her chest tightened. When had anyone chosen principle over profit for her? Why? She whispered. Marcus stepped closer, his cologne lingering, his eyes unrelenting. Because you could have just passed my mother's compliments along and walked away. But you didn't. Because you have an MBA from Columbia and speak 5 languages, yet you're serving tables. Because everything about you says someone tried to erase your value. His hand rose, brushing a tear from her cheek. The question is, Anna, are you ready to fight back? Her voice trembled. I don't know how anymore. He took everything. No, he didn't. His other hand framed her face, steady and warm. You're the woman who built a company from nothing. The mind behind work so valuable David risked everything to steal it. The woman who lost everything and still found the grace to be kind to a lonely stranger. That's who you are. And in that moment, Anna felt something inside her chest finally crack open. Something that had been frozen for 2 long years. "You're someone worth fighting for, Anna Martinez. The question is, do you believe that?" She looked up at him. This impossible man who was willing to risk millions of dollars for someone he'd only known 2 days. Everything about it was insane. The timing, the circumstances, even the way her heart raced from a single touch. Yet for the first time in years, Anna felt like herself again. Not the diminished, frightened version David had molded, but the woman she once was, intelligent, capable, and worth defending. "I want to believe it," she whispered. "Then let me prove it to you." Before she could ask what he meant, Marcus's phone buzzed. His expression hardened at the name on the screen. "What is it?" Anna asked quickly. "Text from David. He wants to move our meeting up to Monday. Says he has some exciting new developments." Anna's stomach turned to ice. "Marcus, you have to be careful. If he even suspects you know about me." "He won't," Marcus interrupted. "As far as David Chen knows, I'm just another businessman chasing profit. He has no idea what's coming." His smile was sharp, almost predatory. Anna wanted to warn him again, to explain how dangerous David became when cornered. But the determination in Marcus's eyes reminded her of something she'd nearly forgotten. What it felt like to have someone in her corner, someone willing to fight beside her. "What do you need me to do?" she asked softly. Marcus's expression softened. "I need you to trust me." "Can you do that?" Trust. A word David had turned into a weapon against her, one she'd sworn never to give again. But looking into Marcus's gray eyes, she felt something new, the fragile beginning of faith. "Yes," she whispered, and meant it. Marcus's smile was like sunrise after the longest night. Good. Because Monday morning, David Chen is going to learn that his past has finally caught up with him. As Marcus pulled her into his arms, Anna let herself hope that maybe justice wasn't as dead as she had believed. And even if it was, at least she wouldn't face David's wrath alone this time. For the first time in 2 years, Anna Martinez wasn't running. She was ready to fight back. Monday morning came cloaked in gray skies that mirrored Anna's unease. She sat in a coffee shop across from Marcus's building, staring through rain-streaked windows. Marcus had insisted she stay away during his meeting with David, but she couldn't bear to sit at home, powerless, while her future was decided by 2 men in tailored suits. Her phone buzzed. "Meeting starts in 10 minutes. Remember, whatever happens, David doesn't know you're involved. Stay safe." Anna's hands trembled as she typed, "Be careful. He's more dangerous than you think." The reply was instant. "I know, but so am I." She stared at the message, clinging to his confidence, but dread still gnawed at her. She knew David in ways Marcus couldn't. She'd seen how easily he twisted truth into lies, how he turned victims into villains and monsters into heroes. She'd watched him dismantle people's lives with the same precision he'd used on her, 43 floors above her. Marcus Blackwood was about to face the full force of David Chen. Marcus straightened his tie, checked his reflection in the floor-to-ceiling glass. Everything had to be flawless, his appearance, his tone, his questions. David could not suspect that this was anything more than routine due diligence. "Mr. Blackwood," Jennifer's voice came through the intercom. "Mr. Chen has arrived. Send him in." The conference doors swung open and David Chen strode in with the confidence of a man who believed he owned the world. He was shorter than Marcus remembered, with meticulously styled black hair and a smile that seemed warm until you looked at his eyes. "Marcus, good to see you." David extended his hand with rehearsed charm. "Thanks for moving this up. I know your schedule's packed. Not a problem." Marcus shook the hand, noting the firm grip, the expensive watch, the manicured nails. Every detail screamed wealth and credibility. Coffee was poured, pleasantries exchanged. Then David leaned forward. "I've been thinking about our timeline. I believe we can accelerate the merger by 6 weeks. My team has identified some additional assets not included in the original proposal." Additional assets. Marcus's tone was casual, though every muscle was tense. Intellectual property. Proprietary algorithms we've been refining internally. Marcus sipped his coffee slowly. Related to the risk assessment protocols you mentioned last month? David's smile widened. Exactly. Predictive modeling, 18 months ahead of market trends. Revolutionary. It's going to change the entire approach to portfolio management. Impressive. Your team developed this in-house? Of course. My lead researcher is brilliant. PhD from MIT, years of experience. We've spent over 3 years building this. Marcus tapped his pen, keeping his expression neutral. And this researcher has no concerns about ownership or patent rights? None at all, David said smoothly. Clean development chain. My legal team has everything documented. The lies slid out so effortlessly that Marcus felt a cold fury tighten in his chest. Anna had been right. David wasn't just dishonest, he was dangerous. I'd like to meet this researcher someday, Marcus pressed. David hesitated a fraction of a second before answering. Unfortunately, he's in Singapore right now. Hands-on type. Doesn't enjoy corporate meetings? Of course. Marcus smiled thinly. In the meantime, I'd like to review the development files. Timeline, methodology, testing protocols. My technical team will need the full architecture. Naturally. David typed quickly on his phone. You'll have everything by week's end. Perfect. And David, thank you for your transparency. Trust is the foundation of any strong partnership. Absolutely. David's smile was radiant, almost saintly. Honesty isn't just ethical, it's profitable. Lies always catch up eventually. The irony was so sharp Marcus could taste it. Couldn't agree more, he said evenly. They spent another half-hour reviewing projections, David spinning promises of exponential growth. When he finally left, his handshake was as confident as ever. Marcus waited until the elevator doors closed, then pulled out his phone. Call Charles Morrison now. Down in the cafe, Anna was on her 3rd cup of coffee when her phone rang. Marcus's name lit the screen. How did it go? She asked instantly. Exactly as you said. He lied about everything. The timeline, the research, the funding. And Anna, Marcus's voice hardened. He claims his lead researcher is a man with a PhD from MIT. Anna gave a bitter laugh. And let me guess, this brilliant researcher is conveniently in Singapore? Apparently. Very hands-on, not much for meetings, Marcus said with disgust. Anna, the way he erased you so casually, it's sociopathic. I tried to warn you, and you were right. His voice softened. How are you holding up? Anna stared around the coffee shop. People rushed to work, laughed with friends, sipped lattes, all living normal lives. Her own felt like a nightmare. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, she admitted. David doesn't make mistakes, Marcus. If he's this bold, it's because he thinks he's already won. What do you mean? I mean, he's planning something. David doesn't just react. He anticipates, neutralizes threats before they're even problems. What if he knows? What if this whole thing is a trap? That's impossible, Marcus said. He can't know we've been in contact. Are you sure? Anna's voice trembled. Think about it. You ask him about someone from Columbia with a linguistics background. Then days later, you press him about his research and patents. David doesn't believe in coincidences any more than you do. Marcus was silent, then tightly. You think he's figured out you're the Columbia connection. I think David Chen has already put the pieces together. Anna, where are you right now? Coffee shop across from your building. Why? Because if you're right, you're not safe. He destroyed your life once when you were just inconvenient. Imagine what he'll do if he sees you as a threat. Anna's chest clenched with fear. She'd been chasing justice so hard she hadn't considered the cost if David fought back, and he never left loose ends. Marcus, I should disappear tonight, leave the city, change my name again. No. His voice was iron. Running didn't save you before, and it won't now. He'll just find you again, and next time you won't have anyone to protect you. Then what do you suggest? We force his hand. Make him come to us on our terms. That's suicide. You don't understand what he's capable of. And you don't understand what I'm capable of, Marcus cut in, his tone dangerous. I didn't build a billion-dollar empire by backing down, and I'm not letting David Chen intimidate the woman I... He stopped abruptly. The woman you what? Anna whispered. The woman I care about, Marcus said quietly. More than I should after 3 days. But it's the truth. Anna's eyes burned. Marcus, I know it's insane. The timing is wrong. The circumstances are impossible. But I can't stop thinking about you. Since Saturday night, since you spoke to my mother, since you stood up to me when I was being an ass. Since I realized how strong you are. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're brilliant, kind, stronger than you think. I know you deserve justice. And I know I want to be the one to help you get it. Marcus paused. And I know one thing. I won't let David Chen hurt you again. Anna wiped at her face. Stunned, she still had tears left after 2 relentless years of crying. What if we can't prove what he did? What if his lawyers crush us? Then we'll face it when it comes. But Anna, I need you to trust me. Can you? Trust. A word that had become her enemy. David had poisoned it so deeply that she thought she'd never reclaim it. Yet here, in a simple coffee shop, listening to Marcus promise to fight for her, something shifted in her chest. Maybe trust wasn't about avoiding pain. It was about believing someone was worth the risk. Yes, she whispered. I trust you. Good, Marcus smiled, because I have a plan. 20 minutes later, Anna sat in Marcus's office, listening in disbelief as he laid out a strategy that seemed either genius or insane. You want me to call David, directly? She asked, staring like he'd lost his mind. Exactly. That's what makes it perfect, Marcus said, pacing with crackling energy. He expects you to hide. The last thing he expects is you walking into his office demanding answers. Because it's suicide, Anna shot back. Because it's unexpected. He stopped pacing, pinning her with an intense stare. For 2 years, you've let him control the story. What if you stopped running? What if you took it back? Terror mixed with a flutter of excitement. Even if I wanted to confront him, and I don't, what would be the point? He'll just lie, twist it, like always. Not if you're not alone. Marcus lifted his phone. I'll call David. Tell him my tech team flagged inconsistencies in his IP documentation. I'll insist his lead researcher clarify. If he makes excuses, I'll demand they bring the researcher back. I'll make him believe the merger depends on it. Anna's pulse raced as Marcus's smile turned sharp. And then you walk into that meeting, not as David's victim, but as Dr. Anna Martinez, independent consultant hired to verify his intellectual property. The boldness of it stole her breath. He'll recognize me instantly. Of course he will. That's the point. He'll be so rattled he'll reveal more than he means to. David thrives in the shadows. Face to face, he'll make mistakes. The thought of it made her sick. What if he refuses to meet? What if he calls security? Or tries to have me arrested? Arrested for what? Sitting in a business meeting? You're not a fugitive, Anna. You were never even charged. His power exists only because you still believe it does. Marcus came around the desk, resting his hands on her shoulders. I know you're terrified. The last time you trusted someone, it ended in disaster. But this is different. How? She asked, voice trembling. Because you're not alone this time. You have me. And I believe in you. Anna lifted her gaze to his gray eyes. What she saw there wasn't pity. It was respect. Real partnership. The kind she thought she had with David, but never truly did. What if we're wrong? She whispered. What if this destroys your company, your reputation? Then I'll rebuild, Marcus said, cupping her face, brushing her cheekbones with his thumbs. But I can't rebuild my integrity if I walk away, and I can't lose you now that I've found you. The words struck her like a confession, heavy with meaning. His sincerity, his certainty, the way he held her. It broke down the last of her walls. Okay, Anna breathed. Let's do it. Marcus's smile lit up the room. You're sure? I'm terrified, but yes, I'm sure. She inhaled deeply, something shifting inside her. It's time to stop running. Marcus pulled her close, his arms anchoring her, and she drew strength from his warmth, his faith. Tomorrow she would face David Chen for the first time in 2 years. Tomorrow she would either reclaim her life or watch it shatter again. But tonight, for the first time since everything fell apart, Anna felt she was exactly where she belonged. The Pinnacle Financial Tower loomed over the district, 3 gleaming floors of glass and steel, once the symbol of her dreams, now a monument to her nightmares. Anna stood across the street, staring up, her breath visible in the October chill. Second thoughts? Marcus asked, handing her coffee. I used to love this building, she said quietly. David and I picked it together, planned everything. We thought we were building a future. And you did, Marcus reminded her. The fact that he stole credit doesn't erase your part. She looked at him. The suit, the calm authority, the way he commanded space. Are you sure about this? There's no turning back. I'm sure, Marcus said steadily. The question is, are you ready? Anna thought of who she'd been. The confident, naive woman who believed hard work alone could protect her, and the broken shadow she'd become. But standing beside Marcus, feeling his faith, she realized she wanted to be someone new, someone scarred, but stronger. I'm ready, she said, and meant it. They crossed the street. Inside, the marble floors gleamed, the art whispered wealth. The security guard straightened. Mr. Blackwood, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, James. We're here to see David Chen. He's expecting us. 32nd floor. The guard nodded. Anna caught herself when recognition flickered in James's eyes. Marcus smoothly added, Dr. Martinez is consulting on the merger. Intellectual property verification. Of course, the guard said. In the elevator, her heart hammered with each rising number, 20, 25, 30. Breathe, Marcus whispered, taking her hand. You belong here. This company exists because of you. The doors opened to a reception of glass and chrome. A new receptionist smiled. Mr. Blackwood, Mr. Chen is waiting in the main conference room. As they walked past framed awards and staged articles praising Pinnacle's innovations, Anna's stomach twisted. David had rewritten history, erased her entirely, and then the doors opened. David Chen stood at the head of the table, immaculate as ever, his smile polished, his presence designed to dominate. For a heartbeat, Anna felt herself shrink back into fear. But Marcus's steady hand at her back reminded her who she was. Marcus, David greeted warmly. Right on time, and you must be Dr. Martinez. His eyes landed on Anna, and for 3 telling seconds, the mask cracked, shock, calculation, and a flicker of fear. Then it was gone. I'm sorry, he said smoothly. Have we met? You look familiar. The dismissal hit like a slap. But instead of despair, Anna felt something fierce, rage, pure, clean, electric. We've met, she said calmly, walking in with her head high. Though I'm not surprised you don't remember. You were always good at forgetting inconvenient people. His smile faltered for just an instant. I don't follow. Anna Martinez, she said clearly, extending her hand with mock politeness. Former partner, co-founder of Pinnacle Financial. Though I imagine your version of history has me erased. The silence was suffocating. David stared at her hand like it might burn him. Marcus watched closely. There must be some confusion, David said at last. Pinnacle never had a partner named Anna Martinez. Really? Anna pulled out her phone, showing him a photo, Pinnacle's launch party. David's arm around her, both grinning, he shrugged. I've taken pictures with hundreds of people at events. Swipe. Another photo, David and Anna working late, her engagement ring visible. Swipe again, David kissing her cheek at an intimate dinner. Hundreds of people? Anna said softly. Is that what I was to you, David? Just another face? David's tone cooled. I don't know what you think you'll gain from this. He turned to Marcus. I'm not sure what this woman has told you, but... This woman, Marcus cut in, voice deadly quiet, is Dr. Anna Martinez. She holds patents for 17 of the technologies you're trying to sell me, the same ones you claim your team developed. David's mask slipped. Fear flickered across his face before he smothered it. That's impossible. All of Pinnacle's IP was developed internally by my team. Your team? Anna echoed. You mean the one PhD in Singapore who somehow can't attend meetings? David's voice sharpened. I don't know what game you're playing. I'm not playing anything. David Anna's voice was steady now, sharpened by 2 years of pain that had finally found its purpose. I'm here to collect what you stole from me. David laughed, a brittle, hollow sound meant to project amusement but edged with strain. Stole? That's a very serious accusation. Yes, it is. Anna slid a tablet across the table, opening a folder. Would you like to see the original development notes for the risk assessment algorithm? The ones in my handwriting, dated 6 months before you filed the patent? Or maybe the emails where you begged me to explain code you couldn't understand? David's composure cracked. Anyone can forge documents. Anyone can, Anna agreed. But these aren't forgeries. They're backups from my personal cloud. Metadata intact, dates, devices, timestamps. Would you like to explain to Marcus why the foundation of Pinnacle's empire exists on my laptop? This is absurd! David snapped, turning desperately toward Marcus. Surely you see what this is. A disgruntled former employee trying to... Former employee? Anna's voice cut him like glass. Is that what I am now, David? We were engaged for 2 years. We built this company together. We shared a home, a bed, a future. And when you decided you wanted it all, you didn't just steal my work. You stole my life. You froze my assets, destroyed my name, painted me as a criminal, and then pretended I never existed. She stepped closer until she could see fear flicker in his eyes. You filed false fraud charges, then dropped them at the last moment to look generous while ensuring everyone still believed I was guilty. You rewrote our contracts to erase me. You stripped my name off every patent. You erased me, David. David's eyes darted between her and Marcus, calculating. Even if any of that were true, it is true, Marcus said, his voice low and cold. David snapped his gaze to him. You believe her? Marcus, she's unstable. She's telling the truth. Marcus pulled out his own tablet, opening a file Anna recognized. Because my legal team has been digging into Pinnacle's IP claims. And guess what? The original patent filings tell a very different story. Metadata shows systematic alterations to erase Anna's name. Invention dates shifted. Specs rewritten to hide that the work came from external systems. Marcus stood, his calm presence suddenly a threat. We also recovered the original partnership agreements. They show Anna as your equal partner, not an employee. Altered conveniently 6 months after she left. David's face blanched. Those are sealed corporate documents. You had no right? I had every right, Marcus cut in, voice like ice. I'm investigating intellectual property I was about to purchase. And what I've discovered is that you're trying to sell me stolen goods. This is madness, David barked, but his voice shook. You'd kill a billion-dollar deal based on the word of a woman who built the technology your empire sits on? Anna shot back. A woman who trusted you and paid the price. David's polished confidence cracked. His eyes darted. Anna, wait. Maybe we can work something out. If you feel you deserve. Compensation. Compensation? Anna's laugh was bitter. You think you can buy back my life? Offer a settlement for stealing everything I ever created? Then what do you want? He demanded. Anna looked at him, the man who once shared her bed, her dreams, and felt only cold satisfaction. I want justice. I want my name back on every patent, every article, every piece of work you stole. I want a full accounting of every dollar your company made with my technology. And I want you to know what it feels like to lose everything, because someone you trusted destroyed you. David stared at her, stunned, as if truly seeing the woman he had tried to erase and realizing she'd risen stronger. The deal's off, Marcus said quietly, effective immediately. And David, I'll make sure every potential partner knows what Pinnacle really is. David shot to his feet, his mask collapsing. You can't do this. The contracts. Void, Marcus replied smoothly. Fraudulent representation of assets. My lawyers are preparing the filings now. I'll fight you, David snarled, his voice trembling with rage. I'll destroy you both. You'll what? Anna stood facing him head-on. Ruin my reputation? Steal my work? Turn everyone against me? You already tried, David. You fired your best shot, and I survived. She stepped closer, her eyes locked on his. But this time I'm not alone. This time I have someone who believes me, someone willing to fight for the truth. This time, you're the one who loses. David's face twisted, cycling through rage, panic, and finally the dawning shadow of defeat. This isn't over, he hissed. Yes, Anna said softly. It is. They walked out, leaving David alone in the hollow conference room. For the first time in 2 years, Anna felt the crushing weight lift. She wasn't the broken woman who fled in shame. She was someone forged in fire, stronger, fearless. Someone who had fought for justice and found a partner worthy of her trust. 6 months later, Anna stood in Marcus's Tribeca kitchen, watching sunrise spill gold and pink over the city. On the counter, the headline made her smile every time she saw it. Pinnacle Financial founder sentenced to 5 years for corporate fraud. Beneath the bold headline about David's downfall sat a smaller story. Martinez Technologies announces record first-quarter profits. Anna couldn't stop reading, her eyes lingering on every word about David's sentencing. Still fascinated by his downfall? Marcus's voice came from behind her as he wrapped his arms around her waist, pressing a kiss to her neck. Can you blame me? Anna murmured. 2 years of nightmares, and now he's the one behind bars. She leaned back into his chest, savoring the safety and warmth of his embrace. Sometimes I still can't believe this is real. Believe it, Marcus said firmly, satisfaction in his voice. Charles's legal team was relentless. Fraud, theft of intellectual property, falsified documents. David won't be bothering anyone again. Anna turned to face him, searching his eyes. Any regrets about walking away from the biggest deal of your career? Are you kidding? Marcus's smile was soft, genuine. Walking away from that deal was the best choice I ever made. It led me to something far more valuable. And what's that? She teased. You, he answered simply, brushing a kiss across her forehead. Though his tone was light, the truth in his words made Anna's chest tighten with emotion. And watching you rebuild your company from scratch has been incredible. Martinez Technologies is already changing the industry. Anna felt pride stir deep inside her. 6 months of legal battles, patent restorations, and sleepless nights had forged her into someone stronger than she ever imagined. Her name was cleared, her technology returned, and her company already worth millions. Major firms were fighting to invest. We're going to change the industry, Anna corrected softly. I couldn't have done it without you. You could have, Marcus said. You just needed someone to remind you of your strength. His quiet sincerity made tears prick her eyes. 6 months in, and she still sometimes couldn't believe this was her life, waking in Marcus's arms, building a company that was truly hers, and facing each day without fear. I have something for you, Marcus said suddenly, a nervous edge in his voice. It's not my birthday. I know, he smiled faintly, reaching into his pocket. But I've been wanting to ask you something. I couldn't wait any longer. Anna's heart skipped as he pulled out a small velvet box. The sunlight flooding the kitchen caught the edges as Marcus sank to one knee. Anna Martinez, he began, his voice steady though his eyes betrayed his vulnerability. 6 months ago, you turned my world upside down. You reminded me why truth matters more than profit, why integrity is worth fighting for, and why love is the best investment anyone can make. He opened the box, revealing a ring, classic, elegant, breathtaking without being gaudy. Exactly what she would have chosen. You've taught me that real strength isn't never falling. It's standing up again and becoming better than before. You've shown me what it means to fight for what's right, even when the odds are impossible. Marcus's gray eyes shimmered with emotion. I know it's fast, maybe even crazy. But Anna, I've never been more certain of anything. I love you. I love your brilliant mind, your fierce strength, your vulnerable heart. I love the way you sign to my mother, the way you make terrible coffee, the little crinkle between your brows when you're deep in code. Most of all, I love the way you make me want to be a better man. Anna Martinez, will you marry me? Anna stared down at the man who had risked everything for her, who had lifted her from her lowest point and helped her reclaim her life. The ring sparkled in the morning light, scattering rainbows across the kitchen walls. Yes, she whispered, then louder, her voice trembling with joy. Yes, Marcus. Yes to everything. With steady hands, Marcus slid the ring onto her finger before rising to kiss her. Their tears mixed with laughter as the kitchen filled with sunlight. I can't believe you proposed in your kitchen, Anna teased. Glancing at her hand, I couldn't wait for a fancy restaurant or a trip abroad. I wanted to ask you here, in the place where we fought battles and celebrated victories, where you taught me to really live again. Anna glanced around the familiar kitchen, realizing he was right. This wasn't just a room, it was their foundation. Besides, Marcus added with a grin, after all we've survived, simple and honest felt better than some elaborate performance. Simple and honest, Anna echoed, liking the way the words felt. He drew her close again, and she marveled at how safe she felt in his arms. A year ago, she'd been hiding in Queens, broken and convinced her life was over. Now she was engaged to a man who had shown her that partnership could be strength, not betrayal, and that love could heal instead of destroy. So, Marcus said with a playful glint, any thoughts on wedding planning? Tell me you're not one of those brides who needs a year-long engagement and a wedding bigger than most houses? Anna laughed, a sound full of pure joy. Actually, I was thinking small. Family, close friends. Maybe your mother can teach me more sign language before the ceremony. She'll be thrilled. She's been hinting at grandchildren since our third date. Grandchildren? We just got engaged 30 seconds ago. Anna raised an eyebrow. I'm thinking about everything. Kids, grandkids, growing old together. The whole messy, beautiful life. His expression grew serious. Anna, I know David hurt you. I know trust isn't easy. But I need you to know I'm in this for the long haul. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. Her heart swelled almost painfully. I know, she whispered. I trust you, Marcus, completely. 6 months ago, those words would have terrified her. Now they felt like freedom. Trust wasn't about never getting hurt. It was about choosing someone worth the risk. And Marcus Blackwood was worth every risk. Good, Marcus murmured, kissing her again, because I have some honeymoon ideas that require a lot of trust. Anna's eyes sparkled. Oh, really? What kind of ideas? The kind that involve Paris, champagne, and showing you that not all French connections end in heartbreak. Paris. The word tugged at old scars, memories of the life she once thought she'd build with David. But looking into Marcus's eyes, she realized those dreams had been too small. She'd never imagined a love like this, one built on respect, trust, and strength. Paris sounds perfect, she said, meaning every word. As long as you promise not to propose again. My heart can't take any more surprises today. Deal. But I reserve the right to surprise you in other ways. What kind of ways? His smile was wickedly mysterious. You'll have to trust me. I do, Anna whispered, realizing she meant it fully. I trust you with everything. Sunlight bathed the kitchen as they stood together, the world outside alive with energy and possibility. Anna thought of how far she'd come, from the terrified woman in hiding to a woman who had rebuilt her life, claimed her truth, and found real love. David Chen had tried to erase her. Instead, he'd forced her to discover her strength, her brilliance, and her worth. Now, with Marcus by her side, she wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. And for the first time in years, the future looked brighter than she ever dared dream.